There is a moment every morning when you are most vulnerable. Not to an enemy, not to danger, but to yourself. The samurai knew this, and what they did in that moment determined whether they would live with clarity or die with regret. Most men waste this moment. They reach for their phones, check their messages, begin reacting to the world before they have even remembered who they are. But the samurai did something different. Something so simple it sounds absurd, and yet it changed everything. Chapter 1. The Ritual. Before the sun rose over Edo, before the streets filled with merchants and the smell of rice cooking over charcoal fires, a samurai named Takeda would wake in darkness. He did not stretch. He did not yawn. He did not think about the day ahead. He sat upright, placed his hands on his knees, and prepared to die. This was not metaphor. This was not visualization. This was a practice called Shur-inai Gao Suru, to meet death face to face. Every morning, for 20 minutes, Takeda would sit in silence and imagine his own death in vivid detail. He would see the blade entering his chest. He would feel his breath leaving his body. He would watch his vision narrow to a point and then disappear. And when the meditation ended, he would open his eyes and begin his day as a man who had already died. Chapter 2. The Problem. You are not a samurai. You do not carry a sword. You do not live in a world where death can arrive with a single mistake. But you live in a world that is killing you slowly. Not with blades, but with distraction. Not with violence, but with comfort. Not with enemies, but with your own mind. Every morning you wake up and your first thought is worry. What do I need to do today? What did I forget yesterday? What message am I missing? What problem is waiting for me? Your day begins in reaction. You are not present. You are not centered. You are already defeated. And this is not your fault. You were never taught what the samurai were taught. You were never shown the one practice that transforms a man from someone who survives to someone who lives deliberately. Chapter 3. The Principle. In 1645, the samurai Yamamoto Tsunetomo wrote the Hagakure, a text that would become the spiritual backbone of the warrior class. In it, he wrote one sentence that still echoes through centuries. The way of the samurai is found in death, not in victory, not in strength, not in discipline or honor, or any of the virtues we associate with warriors. In death, this was not a call to suicide. This was not fatalism or nihilism. This was the most practical piece of wisdom a warrior could carry, because the samurai understood something that modern men have forgotten. When you begin your day having already accepted your death, you are free. Free from fear, free from hesitation, free from the need to impress, to prove, to protect your image. You are no longer controlled by outcomes. You are no longer paralyzed by the possibility of failure. You act with clarity because you have nothing left to lose. Chapter 4. The Man. Let me tell you about David. David is 34 years old. He works in finance, wakes up at 6:30 every morning, and feels like he is drowning. Not because his life is hard, but because it feels empty. He does everything right. He exercises. He eats well. He has a good job, a nice apartment, friends who respect him. But every morning when he wakes up, he feels a tightness in his chest, a sense that he is living someone else's life, that he is performing a role instead of being a person. He scrolls through his phone for 20 minutes before getting out of bed. He checks his email, reads the news, watches a few videos. By the time he stands up, he has already consumed 1,000 thoughts that are not his own. He is already reacting, already behind, already anxious, and he does not know why. Chapter 5. The Teacher. One evening, David meets an older man at a seminar on Japanese philosophy. The man does not look like a teacher. He is quiet, unremarkable, dressed in a simple gray shirt. But when he speaks, the room goes silent. He talks about Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, who won over 60 duels and never lost. He talks about Musashi's final work, the Dakodo, written in a cave days before his death. And then he says something that stops David cold. Musashi wrote that a warrior must think of himself as already dead. Not someday, not eventually. Now, this morning, every morning. David asks him what that means. The man looks at him and says, "It means you stop waiting for your life to feel important. It means you stop protecting a self that does not exist. It means you wake up and remember that today could be your last day, and then you ask yourself, what would I do if I were not afraid?" Chapter 6. The Practice. David goes home that night and cannot sleep. The next morning, he does something he has never done before. He wakes up, sits on the floor, and closes his eyes. He does not meditate in the way he has tried before, with apps and guided breathing and soothing music. He sits in silence and imagines his death. At first, it feels ridiculous, morbid, dramatic, but he keeps going. He pictures himself lying in a hospital bed, old and frail, looking back on his life. He pictures himself in a car accident, his last breath leaving his lungs. He pictures himself simply not waking up tomorrow. And something shifts, not in a painful way, in a clarifying way. Because when he opens his eyes, the tightness in his chest is gone. The anxiety about his emails, his meetings, his image, it all feels absurd. He is still alive. He is here. And that is enough. Chapter 7. The Transformation. David continues this practice every morning for 30 days. At first, it is uncomfortable. His mind resists. It wants to plan, to worry, to think about the future. But he keeps returning to the same question. If I were already dead, what would matter? And slowly, everything changes. He stops checking his phone in the morning. He stops needing validation from his coworkers. He stops avoiding difficult conversations because he is no longer protecting a fragile image of himself. He begins to move through his day with a strange kind of calm, not because he has become detached or apathetic, but because he has become present. He is no longer living in the future, in the land of what-ifs and maybes. He is here, now, alive, and that is the only thing that matters. Chapter 8. The Truth. The samurai did not practice death meditation because they were obsessed with dying. They practiced it because they wanted to live. In Zen Buddhism, there is a concept called satori, a sudden awakening to the true nature of reality. It is not something you achieve through years of study or discipline. It is something that happens in an instant, when the mind stops clinging to the illusion of permanence. When you meditate on your death, you are not being morbid. You are being honest. You are confronting the one truth that your mind spends every day trying to avoid. You will die. Everyone you love will die. Everything you build will crumble. And when you stop running from that truth, something extraordinary happens. You stop wasting time. You stop living in fear. You stop needing the world to validate your existence. You simply live. Chapter 9. The Method. This is not complicated. You do not need a teacher. You do not need a special cushion or a quiet room or hours of free time. You need 5 minutes, maybe 10. You wake up before you do anything else and you sit. You close your eyes and you imagine your death. Not in a vague, distant way. In detail. You picture the moment. You feel it. You let it become real. And then you open your eyes and you ask yourself, what now? What will I do with this day, knowing that it could be my last? What matters? What is not? Who do I want to be in the hours I have left? This is not a motivational exercise. This is not positive thinking. This is the most practical thing you can do. Because when you begin your day having already died, you are no longer controlled by fear. You are no longer paralyzed by the need for approval. You are free. Chapter 10. The Enemy. The modern world does not want you to think about death. It wants you to think about growth, success, optimization, comfort. It wants you to believe that if you just work a little harder, plan a little better, buy the right things, and follow the right steps, you will finally feel secure. But the samurai knew better. Security is an illusion. Permanence is a lie. The only thing you truly have is this moment. And the moment you forget that, you become weak. Not weak in body, but weak in spirit. You become someone who is easily manipulated, easily distracted, easily controlled. Because you are living in fear of losing something that was never yours to begin with. Your time, your life, your very existence. It was always temporary. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you become dangerous. Not to others, to the part of yourself that has been living in fear. Chapter 11. The result. 6 months after David begins his morning practice, someone asks him what has changed. He thinks for a moment. His job is the same. His apartment is the same. His routines are the same. But everything feels different. He no longer wakes up with dread. He no longer moves through his day feeling like he is performing for an invisible audience. He no longer lies awake at night, replaying conversations and criticizing himself. He simply lives. And when hard things happen, because they always do, he does not collapse. He does not spiral. He faces them with the same calm he feels every morning when he opens his eyes and realizes he is still here, still breathing, still alive. And that is enough. The samurai did not meditate on death because they were warriors. They became warriors because they meditated on death. This is the one thing they did every morning that changed everything. Not training, not discipline, not strength or strategy or skill. Awareness. The awareness that life is temporary, that today is not guaranteed, that everything you fear losing is already gone. And when you understand that, truly understand it, you are no longer afraid. You are no longer waiting for permission to live. You are no longer controlled by the need to be safe, to be comfortable, to be approved of. You simply act with clarity, with presence, with the calm intensity of someone who knows that this moment is all there is. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, before you start planning your day, before you begin reacting to the world, sit, close your eyes, meet your death, and then open them and live like a man who has already died. Because you have. Thanks for watching. Please hit subscribe.